everybody. Welcome to another episode of Superpower Review, the show that brings you news and reviews on comic book stuff. Today we're going to be doing a review on Spider-Man Life Story #1, done by Chip Zdarsky and artwork by Mark Bagley. And to help me talk about this subject, we got Perry's Comics on with us. So I want to welcome our guest, Perry. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going? Glad to be here.
I'm a huge fan of your channel. Just wanted to put that out there real quick.
Appreciate it.
But it's so nice to have you on the channel today to talk about this book. So let's get into it real quick. Pretty much it's Spider-Man in the 60s. We get to see what Spider-Man's about in the 60s. And it's just pretty much a real-time story with Spider-Man, if that's right? Yeah?
100%.
All right, so Perry, what did you think about this book?
Going into it, I didn't want to like it. Going into it, I had a notion that it was going to be a cover buy, that I was going to get the Scotty Young variant and just throw it away. I read it. Man, did I love this book. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. And you know what? When I first heard about this whole real-time thing and, seeing Spidey go through the courses through the decades, I was like, that does sound pretty interesting. And I gotta say, I did really like the book too when I read it. But let me just put it out there right now. I have to say that when Marvel is milking a story and there's no story to be there, they milk the hell out of it. And this one I felt like was cut short a little bit. At the ending, I was like, I wish there was a little more to this story, to be quite honest. And that's when I got confused because this is a 6-series issue, right?
I felt the same way, and I know Marvel's always sneaky, and the fact that they put Iron Man in little bits and pieces and Captain America in bits and pieces, I think we're going to see an Iron Man Life Story 60s, Captain America Life Story 60s, where we're going to see things that we didn't get a chance to see in this issue.
It's possible. I mean, I would like to see more of this real-time thing going on with other characters now that you say, because I like to see my characters get old, and I like to see them kind of, reminisce about old experiences that they had, fighting villains and, big upcoming, events that actually happened on Earth. So this happens to kind of push hard on Vietnam. So Spidey's kind of in conflict about Vietnam that's going on, and he sees Iron Man going through it and, seeing him in battle, and he goes, I feel like I should be there too. And then Flash Thompson is enlisting in the Vietnam War. So it's kind of cool to see this. And then at the end, we get that big surprise. And what's that big surprise, Perry?
With Captain America in Vietnam. Yeah. So I think it's really cool, though, how they did that whole Captain America and just Spider-Man in general in that 60s. Because throughout the whole story, he's got this conflict of, should I stay or should I go? I have the tools. I am Spider-Man. I have the agility. I have the speed. I have the strength. I could help. I'm seeing Iron Man help. Now Captain America's enlisting. We got Flash enlisting, like you said. And I feel like he's torn between, he doesn't know where he should go. I personally would have loved to see Spider-Man in some type of camouflage fighting in the Vietnam War.
That'd be
when
cool.
I see that, when I seen that cover when he was pulling those two choppers together, I was like, this is going to be pretty cool. We're going to see him fight in Vietnam, and I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get a chance to see that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about it getting cut short. When I was done reading this, I was like, okay, I know it's a 6-series issue. Is there going to be 6 more books containing Vietnam? I was so confused about that, and obviously, no, it's just a 6-series issue. So I don't know if
6 decades.
Yeah, right. So I know Vietnam War ended in early 1970s, and the next issue is 1970s. Do you think we're going to get any more Vietnam stuff?
That's when I'm kind of conflicted because, like I said, when I seen the snippets of Iron Man or Captain America, I seen in my mind how Marvel would want to play that out, where we're gonna see more Spider-Man and maybe a Captain or Iron Man. And if I don't know, the way with the Green Goblin, with him having amnesia, not remembering who he is and everything. And if we go to that last page, we see Spider-Man in the 70s. And there's that giant disco ball with the orange pumpkin. So I'm like, all right, Hobgoblin, maybe. Next villain.
See, that's what I mean. I really don't know what to expect in the next issue because I'm so like I'm really actually interested in this book with the whole Vietnam thing. It's like I'm not ready to say goodbye to it. I'm like, please, Chip, keep writing this series. I'm really enjoying it right now. So I thought that was, I don't know, it's a really cool story. I really like it a lot. What do you think about Mark Bagley doing the artwork for the book?
I thought the artwork was pretty damn good. There was one scene in there where I was kind of a little iffy when they're at the bar and Mary Jane goes up to Peter and says, "Hey, cool your jets. He's going to the he's going to Vietnam." Because in one of the panels, she has a regular face, but when she's trying to be sympathetic, her eyes get really, really big. In this panel right here, and I thought that was a little odd, but the rest of the story looks great. The artwork, everything flows pretty consistently.
I was thinking that, other besides the whole Vietnam thing, and in the beginning, there's like a strike going on with peace signs and somewhat, stuff like that in 1966. I have to say that Mark Bagley does a Peter Parker where it kind of reminds me of like early John Romita work. So, Perry, if we were to give this book a grade using the CGC grades, what would you give this book and why?
I would probably give it a 7.0.
Wow. Okay.
Because I hold a 10 to a very high standard, and I think 9s to be held to a very high standard. Just the fact that I feel like this could have been the 60s. They could have did a comic for each year of 60, 61, 62, 63, going all the way to the 70s, because the story is really interesting. I mean, the Vietnam War, going there, finding out, oh, you're Peter Parker going to the train station and he forgot to zip up his coat. And then she discovers that, are you Spider-Man? Yeah. And then the next page is Captain America is now committing treason. Like, there's so much to this era, to this decade, and I just felt like they dropped the ball a little bit. It could have been a thicker book, maybe, or I don't know.
Thicker book, yeah. I felt like the story could have gone on a little bit more. Thicker book, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I'm definitely, I would love to see like Captain America and Iron Man in Vietnam, because that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. It would be like the first Civil War we never knew about. Well, if I were to give this book a CGC grade, I think a 9.0 would be fair. I did enjoy reading it, but I do feel like the real-time pressing the Vietnam War, I felt like it fell short just a little bit because I would have liked to seen a lot more of it. Another thing I have to say about this book too as well is that when I was reading it, it made me like reminisce, or I felt like I was reading a comic book to the first Spider-Man movie, if that makes sense, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
I was the guy who played the Green Goblin. When I was reading this, his voice was in my head the whole time.
Really? Yeah, like that whole like scene where he like meets him, like he's meeting Harry's dad and he's in the car and like that, something like that. I was like, man, this reminds me of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm. But it did make me, reminisce. It was kind of nostalgic to, your classic Spider-Man comic book. Showing up late to everything, having the stress of taking care of Aunt May in college, fighting the Green Goblin, which is pretty much classic, and being Spider-Man. That's pretty much it. So I think a 9.0 would be fair.
Wasn't boring. Like I enjoyed the read. Like it wasn't boring. I didn't feel like I had to push through it. Like I wanted more. And I feel like if a comic book can do that to you, it's a pretty damn good book.
Right. So I guess my main complaint is just the story just like having a huge halt, like seeing Captain America in Vietnam, because we knew about Captain America fighting in World War II, and he was in comic books then, but we never seen Captain America in comic books when the Vietnam War was going on. So we really didn't know Captain America's perspective on the Vietnam War, and seeing him kind of protecting village folk of Vietnam is pretty cool, actually.
Oh yeah, and you can see it in the story where he's like, he doesn't know if he should go, because Peter asked him, like, should I be doing this? Should I be enlisting? Should I be heading over there? And he's like, look, man, like he fought against the Nazis, like a real threat, a global threat. Right. And he had his duty to do that. And now this war is kind of like why are we even over there? Why are we attacking these people? What is going on right now? And you can see the confliction. So that end scene makes perfect sense when he's trying, like, I feel like his morals got in front of him and he's like, I need to protect these people. Tell Iron Man he could come for me, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So overall, a really good book. It was a hook. It was definitely a book that set a hook pretty deep. And I would be interested in reading more. Are you going to keep reading this, Perry?
Definitely. My one question is, I know it says it's going to continue into the 1970s, but what is this where it says fathers and sons? Is that another comic that it's going to tie into?
That's what I meant. See, that's why I was so confused. I was like, so are they going to continue this story and then the next book will be the 70s? But, like, I don't know, is this book going to have a part 2 to it? See, that's what I got confused about. But I guess it's just going to be issue 2 is going to be the whole fathers and sons thing with the 1970s. That's what I'm assuming. So, I don't know. Perry, thank you so much for being on the show today. I would really love to have you back on, man. It was
sure, anytime.
Yeah, reviewing books, really fun, and I really hope we can get you back on.
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime. Let me know.
No problem, man. And I think that's going to do it for today's episode. If you liked what me and Perry had to say, please smash that like button. If you'd like to see more from this channel, make sure you subscribe. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to Perry's Comics YouTube channel. And before I go, if you have not gone to your local comic book shop yet, then you are wasting time because a huge comic book came out today, and that is Detective Comics number 1000. And for a fact that there's going to be a review of this book on this channel. So stick around, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys really soon.